We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Flugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you need just a little bit of extra college football content to get you through the days, to get you through the nights, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button. If you like our content, share the video with your family and friends. Share it with your psychiatrist. Share it with your priest. Share it with your significant other. Share this video across all your social media platforms. Come on into the studio, into the house that sits on the corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Welcome on in. Don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a PATC legend with your comments, with your phone calls later in the show. Cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger, cloak and dagger. Holy smokes. Okay, we have new people coming into this YouTube channel all the time. That's Cloak and Dagger. This show gets a little bit, you got to get used to it. It's a little bit different. College football. We talk about everything college football. We have fun with it. And we drop some intel from time to time. I think our record is pretty good here at Peek Around the Corner. And we also sing. We sing some songs here on this channel. So it's different. It takes a while to get used to. The PATC community is in the chat room. It takes a while to get used to the lingo. Okay, so be patient. I think you'll get it. Everything's going to be fine. What we do here in the live show is we do a monologue first. Then I get to your comments, and then we get to your phone calls. It's the phone calls where the magic happens in this show. So don't be afraid. Do not be afraid to be a legend with your phone calls and your comments. First of all, I want to thank everybody that's come on in early this afternoon or middle afternoon. A lot of people already in. David Hackett, thanks for coming on in. Baylor's Bear Patrick, thanks for coming on in. Ryan Brooks, Curtis Brown, Robert Perez, Troy W. Jim Reese, St. James, Mason Rudolph, Seamus Kelly, Lewis, Carlos Diaz, KS Bear FN, Jim Reese, BR 7062, Big 12 Mafia, the Holy Rival Show, Nathan Brown is in the house, AMAC, Obsidian, John Bennett, Nick Flynn, holy smokes, Jay Chapman, Grant Creech is in the house, Daniel Montcastle, Mr. Hoosier is in the house, Devil Frog, HBR, wow, Matthew Carlson's in the house, Immaculate is in, Sergeant Pickles, Garrett Gringer, David M., Delmo, Tom DeBay, AMAC. I don't know if I said BR 7062, but you're in the house. Will the Thrill, Jay Chapman, Dustin Flannery, AMAC, Larry Keith, Happy Friday, Adam Hundley. Wow, Jesse Wilson is in the house from Alabama. Washington Husky fan. I remember Manny Palazzo, Arlen Shingleton, B. I think everybody's here. Gregory Hells, Arlen Singleton, a lot of new names in there. I appreciate you coming on in. Okay, so the show, we're going to talk about who's going to be the 14th school for the Big 12. We nailed Colorado, all right? We got that for months and months and months, starting at February 24th. We believe Arizona is at the center of the stage. Not much change there. Arizona at the center of the stage. Arizona State and Utah at the front row. They're now in the first row. And UConn is back up to the fifth row. We are going to also, here in the next, not in this live show. It could be the next live show. We're going to have to set up the play called ACC Drama. In the Holy Smokes Theater, if you're new to the show, this is how we dispense. This is how we distribute information in the way that doesn't burn sources, that gives you a storyline, that gives you an image. It's the way we can do it, hopefully in an entertaining manner, in an informative manner. We did this for months with the Colorado story, which we pretty much nailed. We took a couple L's, but 99% of it we nailed. We're going to have to start probably in our next live show, ACC Drama. So the staff at Holy Smokes Theater is going to be busy because the afternoon show is going to be the matinee, is going to be the Big 12, the Pac-12 saga. Then they're going to have to take down everything off the stage and put everything back up for the ACC Drama. Pac-12 saga, ACC Drama, two different plays, but they're both in the Holy Smokes Theater. Now, why am I saying this? On December 26, 2022, we were going to do a whole live show on Florida State. Florida State. The Money Perch. A person who's been able to give us information in the past, just like Arizona State Money Perch and other Money Perch, the big BTM and his associates. That's how we broke the USC to the Big Ten. They were calling the Big Ten the spring. You all know about that. If you're new to the channel, go to Flag Empire on Twitter. Go to our pinned tweet. You can read the whole thing in a Los Angeles Times article that was done on us here at Peek Around the Corner. There's Florida State Money Perch gave us some information on December 5th, December 12th, December 19th, I believe. Yeah, December 19th of 2022, where we're all set to go. On December 26th, 2022, we advertised a live show. It was going to be the Florida State Money Perch, and we were going to discuss that Florida State was going to, they have a plan. They're going to put out a plan. They're going to talk about, they were going to go public and talk about their discomfort with the ACC and the situation that they're in that we all know about, but they were actually going to go out in public, and that they were going to plan on pulling the trigger to challenge the ACC grant of rights in the first quarter of 2024. For those who have been with us since day one of this channel, you know the story that happened on December 26th. We were asked to stand down. We were asked to stand down on that whole story. We did. But we did give a little bit of information on that live show. One of the things we said is Florida State was going to come out in public in a couple of months, and they were going to talk about how frustrated they were. They're going to start setting the table of in public, doing the messaging where they're frustrated and things have to change in the ACC. Well, on February 24th, almost 2 months to the date of December 26th, they came out in public. By the way, the February 24th was also the exact same day that we flipped the odds to say that the Big 12 was going to successfully poach at least one Pac-12 school. So February 24th was a very big day here at Peek Around the Corner, same as October 30th. We've had a whole lot of big shows on this channel. Okay, I had to explain all that because we got a lot of new people. We got a lot of new ACC people watching this. So I just wanted to give you the history. On March 31st, we talked about the scenarios that Florida State could challenge the grant of rights, what they perceive, what the Money Perch told us, what they perceive that they could challenge the grant of rights. And we'll go through that again. Some of those have been knocked away. Some of those cannot be done. There's basically only two options left. We'll get into that. Now, we have been saying pretty consistently that we believe the story, we're in the middle of the beginning of this ACC drama. We're not even at the end of the beginning. I think we're getting close to the end of the beginning, where this story really gets launched. And this story is going to be massive. It's going to make the Pac-12 saga look like child's play in comparison. So hang with us here at Peek Around the Corner. We're going to do the very best we can. Just like the other big stories that we have reported, the USC, Colorado, all the stories that we've ever done, we're going to do it the same way this time. We're going to put it in the theater. We're going to try to explain to you weekly what's going on if there are changes weekly. But this is going to be a story that is drawn out. It's going to be massive. We believe that there's actual smoke. And that's why we're going to have to start this play here probably in the next live show. There's actual smoke to this Florida State. Let me step back for a second. When we say at Peek Around the next phase of this story is not Florida State coming out in public saying the ACC hasn't done enough for us. We need to go back to the meetings. We need to have more unequal revenue shared. The ACC needs to do A, B, and C, and D to keep us in the boat. That's not the next part of the story. That was back in February, March, April, the spring meetings, ACC. Nor is the next part of the story where we all wake up one day and Florida State is gone. They say bye-bye to the ACC. Here's a $120 million check. Here's that exit fee. And we're going to the SEC or the Big Ten. That's not the next part of the story either. So when I said on Flag Empire Twitter today, and I said something to the effect of, the smoke is real. Florida State smoke is real. It just depends how fast the fire will accelerate. When I put that out there, a lot of people said, Greg. There's no way to break the grant of rights. Greg, how are they going to break the grant of rights? It's going to cost them hundreds and hundreds of $1 million and everything. I get it. You know, peek around the corner, grant of rights, we believe those are pretty ironclad. We've been through it over and over again. I get all that. But that's not the next part of the story. Remember, we always focus on the story. Colorado, the story about Colorado was the Pac-12 could not get a media deal good enough to satisfy all 10 schools, and Colorado was the tip of the spear, and they were going to go first. Okay? We kept our eyes on the ball. We kept it on the story. Pac-12 couldn't get a good media deal. Keeping your eyes on the story, the Florida State story right now is, the next part is Florida State actually putting their heads out and saying, we are willing to go to court to sever our ties with the ACC. We are ready to negotiate. We are ready to settle. We're bringing our war chest. We are leaving the ACC. That's the next story. Part of the story. And that in itself is massive, dramatic. It's going to be breathtaking. It's going to be risky for Florida State. It's also going to be risky for Florida State to not to do anything. At this point in time, being down $30, $35 million a year to SEC and the Big Ten as the years go on, they're going to be $40, $45, $50 million behind a year in media revenue. And then you think about how the SEC and the Big Ten, especially the Big Ten, are going to go to market before the ACC does again. And the Big 12 as well. So that's the next part of the story that will drop. And we were told the timeline, this was going to happen in the first quarter of 2024. Because if Florida State's going to do this, they're not going to wait years and years and years to do it. If they're going to risk, if they're going to go all in, if they're going to challenge, if they think they've got something in that ACC grant of rights, the extended one that goes from 2026 to 2027 to 2036. If there's something in there, if there's a crack in there that they think they can exploit in the courts, if they can get the settlement from ACC and ESPN, if you want to put it that way, well, it's better to do it early than later. That's the next part of the story. And we talked about this in our last live show. From what we are hearing from the Florida State money perch is Florida State's not quite aligned. Everybody's not in the same spot here. There's somebody at the Board of Trustees that is pounding the table. He's very aggressive, wants to do this. Waiting doesn't help. That's the message that's being sent. Being very aggressive. And it sounds like Mike Alford, the athletic director, sides with the Board of Regents or the Board of Trustees, the board member, and that the president and maybe others aren't quite as aggressive as the people I just mentioned. I'm not going to name the board trustee. I'll let somebody else break that story. So it's not quite aligned. Now, I am going to show you today, I need everybody to relax. Don't have a phobia attack. Don't get anxiety. I am going to show a couple images of the Florida State Board of Trustees meetings that were scheduled just now, earlier today. They popped up for August 2nd. Okay? Again, we did this throughout the Colorado, the Pac-12. We showed the Colorado Board of Regents. We always posted them when they showed up on Twitter. We talked about it on this YouTube channel. Every single time we did that, we said at the beginning, we don't have anything confirmed. We do not know if it's about a conference affiliation, but let's look at it. Let's keep this in mind. It's okay. It's a public university posting a public meeting. It's okay to publish that on a college football YouTube channel. Because every time we did that, we got a whole bunch of people coming at us saying, Greg, you're being irresponsible. I'm just posting what the Colorado Board of Regents posted. And in doing so, we eventually were able to confirm that Colorado's June 6th meeting was about conference affiliation, and that the July 12th to July 14th retreat, they had a part in there that was about conference affiliation. So we're going to start doing the same thing with Florida State. So if you are easily triggered, if you're easily annoyed by us posting something that's on a public website, I don't know why you would be, but you might want to look away. Okay? Again, what I'm about to post, we have no idea if this is about conference affiliation. We don't have it confirmed. We're just going to post it. But before I post it, I want to explain something that was told to us months ago in regards to Florida State. If Florida State puts their head out and they let everybody know, they let the ACC know that they're going to challenge the grant of rights, or they're up for doing some sort of settlement to detach themselves from the conference. If they were going to do this, this was going to cost a whole lot of money. And Florida State was going to have to build a war chest. A war chest. But they weren't going to be able to do it directly from the public university funds, athletic funds, or the general fund to challenge, to go in to challenge the ACC grant of rights. So they were going to have to do this with outside money, build up a war chest. This was told to us months ago. Okay? So, I just want to show you what was posted. Florida State virtual meeting, Wednesday, August 2nd, 2023. Again, we have no confirmation. What we're about to show you has anything to do with Florida State building that potential war chest. Okay? This is the agenda. If you look down, new business and updates. If you look down at Action 4, request for approval, Seminole Boosters Incorporated, and the word is loan. Again, this might not have anything to do with what we were just talking about. Keep in mind, just this morning, we at Peek Around the Corner did an episode talking about the ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips discussing that the conference is looking at possible expansion. And we couldn't understand how they could possibly get that done. We don't know any candidates out there that are added value to the ACC that would be willing to sign on to a grant of rights that go on to 2036. We don't believe West Virginia would do that. We don't believe Oregon would do that. We don't believe Washington would do that. Maybe SMU, but would the addition of SMU help the bottom line of the ACC and schools like Clemson, Florida State, Miami, Florida, North Carolina? No, we don't think so. No disrespect to SMU. So we didn't quite understand what Jim Phillips was talking about. Maybe he was just throwing that out there. But again, this might not have anything. It probably doesn't. But get used to Peek Around the Corner posting Florida State University's Board of Trustees meetings. This is a virtual one. Meeting August 2nd, 3 o'clock Eastern Time via Zoom. Look at Action 4. Might not mean anything. But at some point, the war chest is going to have to be built. Money outside the University of Florida State given to Florida State, probably on paper alone. And then Florida State would have to pay that back in 30, 40, 50 years from the Seminoles, Booster Incorporated. We, again, to make it everything clear, we don't know if this has anything to do with building the war chest. I just wanted to put that out there. Let's get into practice, PATC community, because we're going to be poking, we're going to be prodding these meetings, the Florida State Money Perch, and everybody else that we know when it comes to this. Going to be a long, massive, dramatic story. Now, Daniel Montecastle says, Greg, it is somewhat unusual for one reason. The boards of trustees at universities usually take the summer off and only meet for extraordinary circumstances. One reason why Colorado stood out. We were just told again by Mike Alford, the athletic director, when asked about, what is your status in the ACC? And Mike Alford said, it's the same. We're members of the ACC. I'm paraphrasing. And then Mike Alford said the following. Look, we don't even have meetings set up with our board of trustees. He said that. I've got it right here. If I can find it. Maybe I can't find it. That's not it. Right there. Look at the paragraph, the bottom paragraph. Any school planning to leave the ACC in the next year would have to notify the conference in writing by August 15th. We're going to get into that. Alford told ESPN that at this time, there is no meeting of the Board of Trustees scheduled between now and then. Again, the people in the PATC community, most of you're okay with me doing this because you understand the methods that we do at Peek Around the Corner. We poke and prod, we find out what's unusual, we ask questions, we go to the money purge people and all that stuff. We're just asking a question. Mike Alford told ESPN, look, we're not planning to leave the ACC. Look, we don't even have a meeting of this board from now until August 15th. Then what happens? What happens? What happens? Bam, there's a meeting. Again, probably means nothing. Action 4, Seminoles Boosters Incorporated with the word loan, probably nothing. Mr. Peter Collins, the chair, he's the guy who's calling to order, probably means nothing. I want to get to something else about this. Again, you got to be patient with us because this is going to be a long, drawn-out story. We're not going to start the play today at Peek Around the Corner, but soon. You know what? I apologize. Let me get this. I should have had this set up. Give me a moment, please. Well, looks like I won't be able to. Looks like I might not be able to set it up. Well, okay. So, the smoke that is bellowing out of Tallahassee. As you know, I come from the 247 family. I know a lot of, I don't know them personally, but I've read a lot of people's works at 247 for many years. I've broken stories at 247. Chris Nee, who doesn't know me from the hole in the wall, is the 247, the main staff, a big time writer for Florida State 247. Chris Nee is a serious dude. He doesn't just put stuff out there. He is, he does not go over the tips of his skis. He's not that type of a writer. And he's been on the, what I would call the pessimistic side of this Florida State story, of them possibly challenging the ACC grant of rights, from Florida State possibly trying to get a settlement from the ACC. He's been one of these guys. No, it's not going to happen. It's the grant of rights is ironclad, too risky. He came out a couple of days ago on Florida State 247, and he said, and I'm going to paraphrase, it's more real now than it's ever been before that Florida State's going to do this. Now, for me, as a person who's read his stuff, you got to take this very serious. This is not a joke. We don't take ourselves too seriously here, but we take what we do here very seriously. And when somebody like that says something like that, keep your head on a swivel. You got to take note of it. August 15th. What does that mean? August 15th is the day in the ACC bylaws in which a member, if you want to leave the conference to join another conference for the next year, you have to withdraw as a member of the ACC by August 15th. Are we looking at something? Are we looking at a scenario where Florida State says that they're withdrawing, that they're leaving the ACC, here's the war chest of money, before August 15th of this year? Is that what we're looking at? Because we were told in December 26th, or before December 26th, we reported to you all on December 26th, that this was going to pop first quarter of 2024. That was the thought. Did the timeline change? Did it get moved up? Is it because of this Pac-12 chaos? Did it get moved up? Is the war chest being built, starting to be built on August 2nd? These are questions. We don't have the answers here at Peek Around the Corner. We do have people in good spots. We do have a money perch in a good spot. We're going to be following the story. We're going to be hanging on it, every inch of it. And our play is going to start probably the next live show. What are the chances of Florida State actually announcing that they're withdrawing and that they're going to go to the courts to get out of the ACC by August 15th of this year? I would still say definitely less than 50%. But if there's any more dots that are connected with these dots that show up here in the next few days, in the next couple weeks, holy smokes, in the Holy Smokes Theater, buckle up. We just wanted to give you that peek around the corner. I have to get to these super chats. People are being so generous. J-Rod, Greg, you are my Bible when it comes to all things college football. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much for your generosity, J-Rod. I appreciate it. You're very, very kind to us here at Peek Around the Corner. Thank you so much. Eric Nefron GFR, thank you so much for your super chat. The delta between the Big Ten and the ACC TV deals would pay FSU's exit fees in 3 years. Yes, the exit fee, but that not the grant of rights. The grant of rights is a separate thing. Now, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds. I might have missed the super chat earlier. Ryan Thomas, I apologize. The summer is about to get a whole lot hotter, Greg. Thanks again for your super chat. I appreciate it. And I know there's a million comments here that I got to get to. And I'm not even halfway through the monologue. It's going to cost Florida State more than the exit fee. Again, we go back to what Mike Alford, the athletic director, said. It was reported. He says, we've got the grant of rights handled. We just have to pay the exit fee. The other part, the grant of rights, we've got it handled. There was no follow-up question that I know of. He didn't need to answer a follow-up question. I would love to know what he meant by that. People all over the country, ACC country, the athletic directors, the lawyers, they have the presidents, they have looked at that grant of rights. It's in a vault. They can't take copies of it. It's not in public. It's the extended rights. The grant of rights, they went from 2027 to 2036. I know that Florida State was the school at the very end to sign that extended rights. Their arms had to get twisted to sign that ACC grant of rights. What were they promised? What were the considerations? Did Florida State get what they wanted? Is there something in an email, communications between ACC and Florida State that Florida State can use in the courts? I don't know. No idea. But there's something about Tallahassee. There's something about their confidence. Some of those, a big person at the Board of Trustees wants to go for it, is confident. And if just the story of them putting their heads up and challenging this thing is going to blow the top off college football. Okay? And let's quickly get to the Big 12, and then I got to get to your comments. Heather Dinich, a Big 12 source, told me their athletic directors had a meeting this morning and repeated what I told you here yesterday. 14 seems to be the best number. The question is, who wants to be the first to be really part of the Big 12 now and join us? We've got room for one more. That's the messaging. That's the messaging that Heather Dinich, the Big 12, is putting out there. I think some of that has to be, or a lot of it has to be, a leverage ploy by Yormark. Putting out the message, making sure there's room for one more. You better get in now. Because honestly, ladies and gentlemen, if Arizona said today that they want to go to the Big 12, Yormark would accept them. If the next day Arizona State said they wanted to go to the Big 12, Yormark would accept them. 2 days later, if Utah said, I want to go to the Big 12, Yormark would accept them into the conference. Let's take a look real quick here. So I think that's a leverage ploy. They're using the press. They're putting out there to Heather Dinich and others saying we got room for one more. Only one more. 14 is the perfect number. Just to get that one more to jump in. Prisoner's dilemma between the Pac-12 schools. Let's real quick here. We're just going to go through part of it. Brett McMurphy, Action Network. Big 12, eyeing Arizona, Arizona State, Utah. Source says. This is an article from today. Arizona, there's a link provided in the description. Arizona is the most likely Pac-12 candidate to join Colorado in the Big 12, sources said. Now, we've been having Arizona at the center of the stage once Colorado left and joined the Big 12. Arizona State, Utah, Oregon, Washington are also possibilities for the Pac-12. If the Big 12 gets to 14 to 16 members for 2024 season by adding Pac-12 schools, it would not add any other members. The money shot of this article. The dream scenario for the Big 12 would be to get to the four corner schools, a source said, referring to Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. I'm going to repeat that. And then you can read the whole article later on. There is a link provided. The dream scenario for the Big 12 would be to get the four corner schools. Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah. So, getting back to Heather Dinich, getting back to other people are reporting the same thing. Sources are telling them that 14 is the perfect number. There's only room for one more. I think that's a brilliant leverage ploy by Brett Yormark once again to detach one more Pac-12 school and then hope the next two four-corner schools follow. And if you notice, the dream scenario did not include Washington and Oregon because I believe at that time they did not believe they had Washington and Oregon. At that point when the source told Action Network, it possibly could mean they didn't think they had much of a chance. I don't know, at getting Washington and Oregon. So, we're going to get to your comments. We're going to get to your phone calls. ACC expansion, I don't see it happening. I don't see how it could happen. Florida State smoke is rising. How fast will that fire accelerate? Because we had it burning first quarter 2024. Is it actually going to light up? Is it going to light up the college football world before August 15th? And who's going to be school number 14? And will the Big 12 get to 16 schools in your estimation? Put down your comments. We're going to get to them right now. Give us a phone call later on when we open up the lines. Gotta love BY. Brett Yormark. She's being used as a tool for leverage. One chair left. Brett Yormark is at it again. J-Rod thinks the Big 12 goes to 16. 542 people. Wow. Thank you so much. Make sure you smash that like button. I appreciate it. A lot of Cloak and Dagger. This is it, man. This is the Cloak and Dagger hour. This is the Cloak and Dagger days going on right here, right now. Schools are trying to get that position. I saw the Pac-12 put out a statement, the conference. We're not going to go through that. I don't think that has any value to the story. I said that on Twitter. We're not going there. We're not going to even read that comment. It means absolutely nothing. What the Pac-12 should do the next time they speak is about the media deal with some meat on the bone. Don't even try to do the positive messaging. You were not any good at it. Don't even do it. Just the next time you talk, put out some real numbers, media numbers. Where are you going? Where is your content going to be distributed? Who's going to show your stuff? That's all anybody wants to know now. No more, the room has shifted. No more circle the date. No more any of that. 2 weeks from now, 70% chance we're going to get a deal. None of that. Just show us the deal. Just show everybody the deal. Greg's epic monologues. All right, let's get to your phone calls. The Gore money's around $500 million. Obviously, people pretty much agree with you, Craig. Maybe not $500 million. Maybe $400 million. Maybe $360 million. Maybe $600 million. Maybe Florida State has something in their communications with the ACC, something that gives them the ability, they believe that they can make a settlement and that they can get this money down to where it's manageable. The question is Florida State starting to build a war chest to show that they're ready to settle or that they're ready to go to battle in the courts? Again, we'll show you one more time. Thank you so much, Will the Thrill. Thank you, Greg. And gracias, El General Chiquita, the little general, the one who rules with an iron fist. Thank you so much, Will the Thrill, for your generous donation to our channel. I appreciate it. Again, Action 4, August 2nd, virtual meeting, 3 o'clock Eastern, Florida State University Board of Trustees, request for approval, Seminole Boosters Incorporated, semicolon, the word loan. Is that part of building the war chest? Probably not. But get used to us. Get used to us at Peek Around the Corner, poking and prodding. Anytime Florida State puts up a meeting, a request, a board of trustees meeting in public. Okay, let's get to your phone calls. Let me know what you're thinking. What's going on in Big 12 country? Who is Yormark talking to? Who is Brett Yormark talking to right now as we're doing this live show? Is he talking with Oregon and Washington? Is the buzz around Oregon, is that true? Phone lines are now open. 763-260-1333. What do you think of Florida State? Are they building the war chest? The money that has to start outside the university? Or do you think at the last second they're going to pull back and say, we're not doing this. We're not doing this.
Call from
Nathan Brown.
Nathan Brown, Big 12 Mafia from the Holy Rivals. Holy smokes, what's going on, sir?
So this will be a quick call, Greg. Happy afternoon. I hope you're doing well, Little General.
Yep.
You're doing a fantastic job keeping Greg in line. That's what we all want.
Yes. What are you thinking
All right,
here?
so let's get off the Pac-12 for today. This is my third day in a row I'm calling, and I don't ever do that. So I want to make this short and sweet. Basically, the ACC, everybody needs to understand that the A3 that me and the people that work with me are thinking that we eventually gravitate to is it's all going to be about access. It's all going to be about ego and perception, and it's all going to be about rivalries. And so the ACC, I think, is near death. Now, who the school is and what's the final, ember to start another fire, I don't know. But I personally think it's going to be somebody that might be wanting to talk to the Big 12 instead of the big guys breaking out. Now, there is the buyout thing you've described. And to these universities, everybody needs to understand $500 million is nothing when you're talking about a legacy change through your university that this realignment would do. So I don't think it's about the money. I think it's about access, and I think it's about rivalries, and it's about perception. And that's what everybody wants, and it's in the SEC and the Big.
Yeah, and then we got this dissolution theory, right? Where it would take 8 votes to dissolve the conference.
Right.
So
Right.
it would take 8 schools to have a landing spot. Because
Right.
we know that 7 of the schools, the Magnificent 7, they met in private for months. And they would need another school. Those 8 schools vote to dissolve the conference. They would have to have a landing spot. I would think at least a couple of those landing spots would have to be the Big 12.
Yep.
So
that's what I was saying.
Is
I
this
think
why
it
the
could be
Big
a Louisville?
Is this why the Big 12 is wanting to maybe stop at 14? Definitely stop at 16. No more Western expansion. Let's get back out east. That's all speculation. That's what, wow. It's I think we have enough. The timeline on Florida State might have moved up. We haven't got that confirmed yet, but it might have moved up. They might be getting ready to challenge the ACC grant of rights.
Right. And which is cheaper, to get together with other schools and try to do the legal way, which could take years, or is it cheaper just to say, hey, we're just going to write checks and we'll buy ourselves out of this thing? I know it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars, but we're talking about universities that have endowments in the tens of billions.
I don't think they're going to be able to use that money, though, Nathan.
What?
I don't think they're going to be able to use the endowment money. I don't think they're going to be able to. I was
trying to make an example that the schools have access to funds.
Yeah.
Not that they would transfer. Sorry, if I confused you, I apologize.
Yeah. No problem. And that's what makes, now again, the chances of this meeting on August 2nd has anything to do with building the war chest for Florida State is probably nil to none. However, we were told months ago that the war chest would be built outside of Florida State, and then the money would be loaned to Florida State. And then Florida State would have years and years and years to pay it back. In other words, donors giving Florida State a loan. That's what we were told. So we see this on the Florida State Board of Trustees, a meeting that just popped up a day after Mike Alford said there's no meetings between now and August 15th.
Right.
So does that mean that the war chest is starting to get built tomorrow? We don't know. We have no confirmation. But I think it's worth talking about on this show and on your show later on tonight.
Yeah, and I want to say one last thing. Everybody change their mindset a little bit, and just imagine if Boston College or Wake Forest want to be the Colorado of the ACC. They've seen the writing on the wall, and they go to Florida State, for instance, and say, I know you need a vote to get out of this grant of rights. We'll do it because they've already negotiated with Brett Yormark a quick move, sort of quick strike to subvert them being left out. that could break the whole thing up, and it could be 2 schools going to the Big 12 that are actually the anchor schools and not the bigger ones.
Okay, well that could be. That's very interesting. Very interesting.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go. I appreciate your time.
Appreciate it.
Have a great show.
Great call, Nathan. Appreciate it. Watch the show
You
later
bet.
on tonight. Big 12 Mafia, the Holy Rival Show. Give it a shot. Thank you.
Thanks.
Call from
Go Seminoles.
Go Seminoles. I think we have a Seminole on the line. Welcome. The floor is yours.
Yeah, first off, hey Greg, big fan of the show. Love what you're doing. I'm a long time watcher. Been following you since episode 1.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, definitely. And not much of a caller, not much of a texter messaging, but since we're starting to cover FSU, I figured why not call in now.
I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I wanted to just first off say I agree with your premise on the war chest and everything Florida State is doing to prepare for a move, because that's, in my opinion, what's going on right now. They're just preparing, and maybe the timeline did get moved up. And there's some things I know, I'm not going to go into it on this call, and I think with some hints that you're throwing out, I think there's a little more that you know as well. But ultimately, I do not think it's going to go to court, just my opinion. And there's a lot of things with Florida State and the ACC, going back to Swafford, and if it does go to court, does ESPN want to, really open their books? But I do think it's going to be negotiated. That's just my opinion. I think the timeline, who knows? It could be before the 15th or it could be next year, but that's just my opinion on Florida State.
Yeah, and do you think, I know you're a Seminole fan. I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Just Seminole,
Just Seminole. Okay, you're PATC Seminole, okay? Because
yeah.
you're going to call back, hopefully, okay?
Oh, definitely. Like
Okay.
I love the callers you got. You got some amazing callers, Monovision and Immaculate and Ron Thomas and a whole slew, even some crazy ones out, western side.
Yeah,
kick out of.
Monovision.
Kick out of that.
Yeah, Monovision does a pretty good job for a Buckeye. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, definitely. You got a great community, and like I said, I've been following you.
Let me ask you a question. Do you now what you're speculating here, okay? What do you think that if the Seminoles do this, that they put their heads out first, that somebody else like a Clemson, a Miami of Florida, who's a private school, it could be a little bit easier for them, would they follow up quickly after the Seminoles? And if your answer is yes, would that help the Seminoles within trying to create a settlement with the ACC and not going to the courts?
What I know is, regardless if there's a second university or a third university, FSU is going to go at it either way, alone or with a travel partner, per se.
Yes, sir.
But if they are to do that, make that move, the most important question you have to ask is, who has a landing spot? What spots are open, and has any conference initiated any kind of agreement? Mm-hmm. So, and that goes for, the Big Ten and the SEC. But in my opinion, I do believe Florida State has a landing spot. And I do not think it's coincidence. The commissioner just came out and is talking about realignment.
Yeah.
They had all last year to bring this up, and for the timing, everything on the timing wise, I think that Something's definitely going on. I'm not sure, but that's just my opinion. And as far as the loan issue on Article 4 of the memo, we do have a facility that's in the process of being built, and I do think we have, attorneys looking at funding that might be able to be transferable or not.
Sure.
I'm not sure yet.
Sure.
Oh yeah. So there is funding.
Yeah.
And this thing is not a year old. I do know this thing goes back to 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just want to get some insight to that, but also the Big 12. I do believe that they will get 16. They are, using, as far as, one spot left, but I do see 2 to 3 other universities.
Got it.
Going. And yeah, that's really all I got, unless you have any other questions.
Nope. Seminole, we're good. Thank you so much for calling. First time caller, you need to call again because this story is going to be going on for a very long time. We want your perspective, sir.
Absolutely, and I definitely will reach out again. And I appreciate the show and the whole PATC community. And just love everything you're doing. I'll definitely be watching.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, who was that?
It's Dog.
Dog, can you hold a second?
Yeah, you got it.
K-Do, thank you so much for your super chat. And K-Do, I don't know if you got my apology a couple live shows ago. I did not point out your super chat of a few live shows ago. My apologies. Again, thank you so much for your super chat today. I appreciate it. One thing is for sure, the less brands of the ACC are watching the Pac-12 situation closely. Once the ACC door cracks open, they won't hesitate and try to save a failing conference. Interesting. Thank you, K-Do, so much once again for your super chat. Okay, Dog, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, good sir?
Well, first I'd like to say go Ducks.
Go Ducks!
Go Ducks. After that, really, I want to get into the mind of Big Ten presidents here a little bit. I think we can probably agree that the one thing you can count on school administrators being is risk averse, right? And knowing that, as we think about what's unfolding here, the possibility of the Pac-12 demise, and it could happen very quickly, and the stone that is now starting to roll down the mountain over an ACC country means stuff is going to shift and happen. And if the Big Ten, would stay true to what most administrators do and be risk off, if the Pac fractures, all of those schools have to go somewhere. There's only, let's say, 3 really attractive options, perhaps, for the Big Ten, and that's Oregon, Washington, and Stanford. There is not a 4th one. 10, 20, 30 years from now, maybe ASU, maybe Utah, something like that, but not in the next 15-ish, let's say, years, right? Mm-hmm. If they allow this to happen, the mere probability that Washington and Oregon could get locked in with, let's say, a Big 12 grant of rights, long term, right? Yeah. God forbid. I know the ACC, Oregon, Washington talk is definitely just smoke, but let's just say that's real. That's, the next 13 years. How could leadership within the Big Ten allow that risk to occur? Because if everything starts to crumble, ACC teams become available, they're left with the real possibility that there are no schools in the Pacific time zone to pair with USC and UCLA. And they've been saying, we want to sit back and see how this goes before we consider expansion again. Well, they don't want to sit back and see how it goes to see how great it's going to go. They're going to sit back and see where the problems are, right? Because the possibility of having to add new schools in and how quickly they need to do it, I think is, really the messaging behind that. So if they're faced with the probability that USC and UCLA are now alone for the next 10 years, I don't see how they could stomach that. And I'm curious as to what your thoughts are when we kind of extrapolate the thoughts there.
Um, I just saw I just saw something get posted here on my phone, so I'm kind of I'm trying to debate if I should talk about it or not.
Let's talk about it.
Well,
Let's do it.
let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Where do you said go Ducks, right?
You got it.
Where do you think the Ducks end up? Pac-12? I mean, okay, I'm just going to ask it. Where do you think the Ducks end up here in a month or 2 months from now? Where are they going to be playing in 2024?
That is such a hard question to answer. They do not want to go to the Big 12. I mean, Eugene, Oregon, Lubbock, Texas, couldn't be more polar opposite. There's no question. The leadership of both schools, fan bases, where their alum are located, it makes zero sense on earth. But the thing we do know is they have to go somewhere. They don't have a chance at going independent unless Uncle Phil wants to bankroll us, for the next however many years, which, I mean, if push came to shove, I could see that being a more possibility than joining the Big 12. Now, the Big 10 really is the natural fit. It honestly is.
Yeah.
And, you had talked before about, the leadership within the Big 10 wanting to run a cost-benefit analysis and everything else.
Yeah.
Well, my goodness, you have all of the leverage right now to get them in at a discount, mitigate risk of the true partners that could join the SoCal schools from signing a long-term grant of rights, have that West Coast nebula locked up, and then be ready with a basket as the ACC falls apart and collects those apples. I couldn't see it going any other way than that.
I know there's people that agree with you. I know that. So I know that Fox Sports would like that scenario to play out. But as of right now, it doesn't look to be going that way. But as we've said here many, many times, 5 months from now or 5 years from now, we see it happening because there's strong interest. There wasn't just Kevin Warren. That cost-benefit analysis is probably going on right now today. Again, they're trying to figure it out. Everybody's trying to figure it out. The problem is, like you said, everybody's got to go somewhere. Or there's going to be a few schools that are going to be left behind. They're going to have to go to the Mountain West. That's not going to be Oregon. So if Fox, if Oregon has gotten the definite no for Big Ten for this cycle, then their options are what? Big 12 or a very damaged Pac-12.
Right.
So
those are the options, but I can't see either of those options coming to fruition. Let me ask you, where do you see Oregon and Washington in the 2024 college football season?
As of right now, I think there's a better chance, obviously, that Oregon and Washington are Big Ten members in 2026 or 2028 instead of 2024. Still think there's a chance for this near future Big Ten expansion, but there's a better chance a couple of years from now or 4 years from now.
Well, do you think Oregon and Washington have an appetite to swallow the cost of bringing?
I think they have that. I think they're willing to do anything. I don't think the Big Ten presidents are willing to do anything.
And here's the other piece. Yeah. There's more risk associated as well. The college football landscape could look completely different in 2 to 4 years from now.
Yeah.
So there's additional risk that what if all of a sudden the SEC gets word from their television partners that says, you know what, We are fighting a Big 10 and a Big 12 now that are coast to coast. You must add other time zones. And then what if the phone rings in Eugene, Oregon, or Seattle, Washington, and Sankey's on the line? The Big 10 would have just fumbled in a very massive way. Very massive. I mean, heck, maybe there's a potential down the road then if they do that, they're calling San Diego State.
Yeah.
And that would be egg on face. I don't know. That's my take. I'm curious. I mean, if you had to put your dollars on the line right now, where's Oregon and Washington playing in 24? Hard question.
I would slice my dollar bill up into 3 pieces. No. Let me change that answer. I would slice your $1 bill up into 3 pieces. I think if I had to because I'm gonna say something. We are in the fog of war right now. We have contradicting information coming to us even today. So it is. I don't know if that's part of the cloak and dagger. I have great people that I talk with, like great people that I'm fortunate to talk with, and they have a difference of where this thing they think it's heading.
I mean, Oregon and Washington are having conversations in non-traditional places right now, no doubt about it, with the sole intent of bringing the Big Ten to the table. Yeah. There's no question about it, right? Seeing Oregon's name attached to ACC conversations, crazy. Yeah. No way that's going to happen. However, making certain, important individuals think that that's a possibility, that matters, right?
Yeah.
Oregon talking Big 12. I mean, there's no way on earth Oregon looks at Big 12 and says, that's a great fit for us. That's where we want to go.
Let me, great phone call. Great phone call. Please call again. I'm going to end the phone call saying this. I do not believe that Oregon and Washington are in play for Big 10 yet. And I think that's one of the problems. What I'm saying is the Colorado move to crack it open isn't enough for the Big 10 legal counsel. I think they're going to have to get cracked open again. So that's what I'm saying. I think we're going to have to see an Arizona move first. And then we're going to get to that point where is the Big 10 going to give Washington and Oregon another meeting, another call. Okay?
Yeah. Well,
right, thanks for the call.
Up in a week then after Arizona's gone.
Yeah. Thanks for the call, sir. Appreciate it. Great call. Fantastic call. Stephen McNeely, thanks for the super chat. I'm all in on the Florida State smoke. There is smoke. There is fire. But when does that fire accelerate? We didn't think it was going to happen for, another, 4 or 5 months?
Call from
Ryan Thomas.
Ryan Thomas, the floor is yours. What do you got to say, sir?
Welcome to Realignment Marathon, Greg.
Yeah.
I honestly, don't have any clue what's going to happen. I think on Florida State, they're going to push the envelope, and it's going to be it's going to take time, kind of like cracking a hard-boiled egg. But they're going to crack away at it. And as far as Oregon and Washington go, I think I agree with you 100%. The Big Ten is going to have to see. I think if Arizona pulls the trigger and Arizona State goes with them to the Big 12, I think the Big Ten might reconsider its position right now. For the simple fact that they may be able to get Oregon and Washington at a bigger discount. But until that happens, I think they're kind of standing pat. that's just my opinion. And, like I said, those are my 2 cents, but those 2 cents are like third world country 2 cents. So you can take it for what it's worth.
Got it.
But I mean, it's sort of, I agree with you 100%. It's the best part about the PATC theater is there's a plot, but there's no script. It's almost like it's improv here. So we don't know what's coming next, Greg. But one thing it is high drama.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating. I'm really curious to see what happens with this FSU situation. I mean, what you posted. I mean, that's people can get triggered, but I mean,
yeah.
People, you can put 2 and 2 together, and I do think FSU, they're trying everything they can do, and whether or not, I don't know what happens at one point. And I'm just really curious to see if there's enough smoke if there starts to get enough fire to the ACC situation. Does ESPN come in there and try to figure out more ways to get them a little bit more money to keep them happy? I don't know. This thing could twist on the dime. It's improv mystery theater. And
let me ask you a question.
Go ahead, Greg.
Let's say that Brett Yormark perception is that there's smoke to what's going on in the ACC. Mm-hmm. Florida State going to put their heads out, and maybe a couple more follow, and now we got chaos. Mm-hmm. We're just pretending here, okay? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Brett Yormark perception is that this is smoke. Instability is coming a lot quicker than anyone thought. If that's the case, if that's his perception, does that change his calculation on how he should handle Pac-12 candidates possibly coming into the Big 12?
Absolutely. I think it may not change. I think it changes his perception of whether to stay at 16 or go to 20. Because I mean, because I think if the ACC starts to fall apart, then there's no doubt that the SEC and Big Ten are going past 20. So I mean, it kind of naturally falls in. But I mean, I think his main plan right now is to basically, it's kind of a jump ball for Arizona State, Utah, and Arizona, whoever jumps first, and then he'll probably hold at 14 and see what plays out with Washington and Oregon. But even if the ACC were to go unstable, and I'd still keep the door open for Oregon and Washington, because you don't know, you kind of don't know what the Big Ten's picking at and what they want. And I agree with you that they're probably more likely to take Washington and Oregon, because I just doubt that they would have a 20-team conference with 2 schools on the West Coast on an island. That just doesn't seem like it happened. But I do think if there is blood in the water with the ACC, I think Yormark's strategy changes, but I don't think it changes as to adding maybe 1 to 3 more Pac-12 schools. I think it changes in going from 16 to 20. That's what I kind of think what happens. And I think what it might also do is it changes the calculus with UConn, because if all of a sudden you get the opportunity to get Syracuse basketball, then that might be a little bit more appealing to him. But those are just my thoughts.
Got it. Thank you for your phone call. We do have some breaking news. So
okay, I'll shut up and get off.
Please
get
out
care. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, got it.
Call from
Western Civic.
Western Civic. Can you hold? We got some breaking news.
Sure.
First of all, thank you, sir. Adam Vulture, thank you for your super chat. You can go into battle at Colorado, sit in the foxhole with Utah, Oregon, Washington, and the rest of the Pac-9. Thank you so much, Adam Vulture, for your continued generosity to this channel. Appreciate it so much. And then Gerald Jones, Mr. Buckeye, did not like that I gave Mo and Vision, a fellow Buckeye, a shot earlier in the show. Jared Jones, Arizona. Arizona, Oregon, Washington to the Big 12. Notre Dame, Miami to the Big 10. Florida, Clemson to the SEC. Is everybody happy? Jared Jones trying to make peace with everybody. Thank you so much, Jared Jones, for your incredible generosity to the channel. Appreciate it so much. Western Civic, can I have you hold just a couple more minutes?
Yep.
Jason Shear. Is everybody listening to me? Is everybody listening to me? Jason Shear, Wildcat Authority, who, by the way, was dead on with a lot of his reporting, and I was telling you through the whole time he was dead on because I was getting the same information from different sources. Arizona's next step in realignment should be obvious. Kliakov held a meeting with the Pac-12 presidents and athletic directors yesterday, Thursday. Sources indicate to Wildcat Authority that it could not have gone worse. At a time where the schools want and need clarity, Kliakov was unable to get it. We've said in the past that every school would be looking out for its best interests, and that has never been the case more than it is now. Schools are on the phones with other conferences trying to secure their future, and unity statements are somehow less meaningful than they ever were before. Arizona is the next one up. There are conversations with the Big 12 that have already been had, and we expect those to pick up significantly. Colorado was much further down the line than any school. We reported that to you all over and over and over and over again. Absolutely true. The Wildcats know the pitch from the Big 12 and gone about the process the right way. The Wildcats never wanted to be the first to go. We reported to you that. Colorado got that out of the way. Robbins will now ask for numbers like he has in the past, and they won't be presented. We reported to you that in the past. Look, they're not getting a deal that can even be presented to the Pac-12 presidents. The networks have shut this thing down. Networks do not want a one-region conference in the Pac-12 coast, like we've been saying over and over again. The meeting yesterday on Thursday could not have gone worse with inside the Pac-12. Western Civic, the floor is yours. What do you think is going to happen next with Utah, with Oregon? What do you think?
Whew! I don't know, Greg. I'm terrified. That wasn't the Great Barrington Declaration. That was the Great Buffalo Relegation. Oh, my. I'm terrified. Should we be calling you Godfather Gopher this morning?
Go ahead. That'd be fine.
Good Lord. Anyway, that was a
I'm okay with that, man.
That was a mob hit. That was like I don't know where they keep the mobsters at Disneyland, but they all came running out and just did a holdup over there. It's one of the most terrifying things I've ever seen. Those old guys they put out in Boulder for the press conference yesterday, it looked like they'd been pistol whipped. But anyway, you know what it reminds me of? You know what the FDIC is, Greg?
FDID, no, I don't.
Yes, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or just to set the mood here, has anyone ever read Confessions of an Economic Hitman? It's like that, man. It's the people who take over banks that are about to fail, right? They show up in town and they're all slime and they all show up at once and come in and take the cash register, put everybody on notice, start serving this and saying, you will do this. And I got to tell you, if this is where this is going, I mean, I haven't got any personal intelligence since last August, but I don't like the tone of this.
Yeah.
I really don't. I mean, this is really some sort of top-down thing. And I wish we could have talked more about the Coach Prime story. And there's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is.
And I also think, if Colorado wanted to do something outside the pack, I mean, I'm sure they couldn't find a media partner because the media partners already have this all lined up. They want everybody in the contracts they've got, or at least the Big 12 contract. And so, but I think, don't you think, I want to ask, this is the first question I have for you. And sometimes, Greg, forgive me, sometimes when I say I have a question, and I think that was part of the confusion the one day that we had the little conflict. It was more of, in that case, it was a rhetorical question. I wasn't really asking you directly.
Okay.
I was just kind of speaking.
Okay.
In this case, and so forgive me, I'm not clear sometimes.
Got it. All right.
In this case, I am asking you, and now I've lost my train of thought. The question was this. Don't you think, I feel like Colorado just got ripped off. I could understand this Coach Prime thing is unique, and I'd love to talk about that situation because, so say Coach Prime is only with him for 3 years, and then Colorado wakes up, and if they were independent for those 3 years, they would have all sorts of options. But if they wake up now in the Big 12 and Prime is gone, they're screwed. They're relegated forever unless they find another Coach Prime somewhere. And I also think if they could have gone independent, they would be making twice as much. They'd be making Notre Dame money with Coach Prime if they would have gone into. I really think so, but
no, I don't.
They were never.
Yeah, you're asking me a question.
They weren't given the option though. That might be pie in the sky. It's very difficult.
You asked me a question, right?
Oh yeah, sorry. Go
ahead. No, Colorado could not have gotten anywhere close to what they get in the Big 12 as an independent school. Standalone contracts are way too risky for the potential media partners. It just doesn't work. They're not. No, Colorado won't get anything as an independent program. The reason why Colorado moved to the Big 12 is not because they wanted to, Western Civic, because they had no choice. The Pac-12.
That's what I'm talking about. The gangsters showed up, man. You gotta go, bro. Here it is. They read them the riot act and said, you will sign here. But anyway, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think that's the case. And I agree with the answer to your question, and thanks for answering it. The only reason I would even bring it up is if you followed Pac-12 media days at all. It's for the first time in Colorado's football existence as a Pac. Colorado blew every other school away by like it wasn't even measurable. As far as the amount of views the Colorado videos got and the amount of interest Colorado had. This is before, and that didn't have to do with, I don't even think that had to do with realignment. That was just the excitement about Coach Prime, Yeah.
Okay, so let's end this phone call by saying this, Western Civic.
Yeah.
Your humble host, the fat guy from Minnesota, was absolutely correct that Colorado was the tip of the spear and move to the Big 12.
Yes, and let me be clear. Let me make a point. Let me be clear about all this and the betting and all of that before I go, just to be fair. Look, if I told you I claimed the mascot Instagram post, and obviously if no one from the Pac goes to the Big for 2024, I lost. I don't have a leg to stand on. But I still think that we're really on the retail end of the entertainment wing of the plan for the most part. I really do. I think even the drama in Colorado, this stuff has been known for a while. Even the football players in Colorado have known this for a while. Let me just end this on that. We can litigate. I want to say one thing. The outlaw guy, he's lying. He never bet me. I've only made one bet.
All right.
That was Opie. And then I want to add one more tag. I will not log in to watch football. Annual playoff flexibility obviously remains the key. Thank you, Greg, and obviously no war. We don't need to be killing
Thank you,
people.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Call from
Immaculate.
Can you hold on a second? We got clean up on aisle 5 here.
I was coming to see if you needed help, so no problem.
Thank you. J-Rod, I appreciate your super chat. We don't really want to rip on fellow callers, but thank you so much for your generosity. I appreciate it. I wish Western Civic would have said, yeah, I lost that, but I guess he couldn't do it, but we'll see. Bill G, thank you so much for your super chat. I appreciate it. Great show today. Godfather Gopher. Yeah, Western Civic. I think he thought he was giving me a shot. I'll take that name. I mean, I'm called the fat guy from Minnesota. The reason that's my tagline on Immaculate's and Big 12 Mafia's show, a Monovision show, is because my distractors were calling me the fat guy from Minnesota. So I took that in. We used it in a positive way. The fat guy from Minnesota behind the mic. So I'm okay with Godfather Gopher as well. Immaculate, thank you all for the super chats. I appreciate it. Immaculate, what do you think? Smoke, Florida State, Big 12, who's the 14th school? What is going on? The floor is yours.
Well, Godfather, let's see what we got to go through. We got a lot to go through here. This has been a day that's been long in coming. And had to bide my tongue a little bit on stuff, just to not talk about things that look too crazy. But at this point in time where you're sitting, how do you feel? You don't have to say anything particular, but how do you feel about some of the things that I've said in the past?
What have you said in the past? I know you missed the 25.
That I wasn't as interested in the pack as I was in the ACC.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, I wasn't saying
wait. You might. I always thought about this from Immaculate. He's either on to something, or he's on something, and I thought maybe Immaculate was on something, but now I'm starting to think maybe he is on to something.
We'll go with that, Godfather.
Got it.
I will accept that, and I won't push that any further. But, let's talk about the Pac and the Big 12 and this Oregon and Washington thing.
Got it.
This is very interesting.
Yeah.
I've had both of those picked for the Big 10, same as you, for same or different reasons. But I'm really starting to wonder right now because these schools, I think, now need a solution for next year. Their deal ends July of 2024. That means it does not cover the next football season. This is their last football season with coverage, and we don't know anything about any other type of deal that the Pac has. There might be nothing, especially now. We don't know. I mean, if someone that wanted to deal with them wanted to get Deion Sanders on their network or on streaming or do streaming shows with them, and that's gone now, where does that deal stand? We don't know.
Did you hear when I broke in with Jason Shear, his article that he just broke? Immaculate?
About Arizona?
No, yeah. When he said that the meeting yesterday,
did not go well.
Could not have gone worse. Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
And that's probably very telling. And I think the fact that you're getting any smoke from Oregon and from Washington,
yeah,
I think that means a lot. Because they've been the most quiet. They've had nothing to talk about. I think that they had an idea where they were going to go, but the situation and how quickly it's going, and maybe the effects of what it had on their talks for a Pac deal in the short term, might have just blown up, and they might need a place absolutely. So I'm starting to wonder if the Big Ten's actually getting a little feet to their fire by the networks.
Oh yeah. Fox, yeah. They would like to see if they can make this happen. I think
we're
that
Big Ten guys.
Yeah.
We're Big Ten guys. We know what they are. We know that they're the guys that are up in the chair wanting to do things as slow as possible. Just like, too much work. We'll just do a little bit at a time. We're good. We're cool.
Yeah.
It's just Big Ten style.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to work right now. I think they might be getting pushed.
Yeah, I think they're getting pushed. pushed. And I think internally still getting pushed by the legal Council of the Big Ten saying, not yet, you can't do it yet. Colorado is not enough for you guys to go in there. So let's say Arizona make a decision in the next couple of days. Then, Immaculate, then then it's Katie bar the door because anything could happen.
Yeah, I have a projection, but I'm even a little loath to go into right now because we're in a bit of chaos right now. There's a little bit less control through doublespeak, a little bit less charted territory, and it's a little bit more. You can kind of feel the energy in the room has picked up a bit, and there's some real worry.
Yeah.
So as far as that goes, my prediction is you're probably going to hear Arizona is next.
Yeah.
Because I think they can pull the trigger like that. And then J. Rod, he says the same thing. I think that's what that's at. I think Oregon has a chance of actually maybe having to choose the Big 12. Been a lot of smoke about them having problems with the Big 10. Have you heard much about that?
Yes, and I think they've had other problems with them as well. I've heard that, and I believe it's to be true. Oregon's greatest ally into getting into the Big Ten is Fox Sports. Not so much the Big Ten presidents, not so much the Big Ten athletic directors. Fox Sports is who wants Oregon in the Big Ten. Or Fox Sports, if they can't get it in there, if they can't get the Ducks in there, then it's, they're probably wanting them into the to the Big 12. So,
yeah, I mean, I would have not have thought this until we saw this scramble. The scramble says a lot about where things are going, and then with Jason Shearer and his report, that things are not good in the pack. And if that's that bad,
it's that
these
bad.
Schools need to figure something out for next year.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
it's been that bad for
departments could have irreparable damage.
It's been that bad for quite a while. I've got a hunch, Immaculate, that Pac-12 presidents were suspicious, but not totally knowing how bad it was. I think they kept believing in their commissioner, saying that we're working on it, looks good, going to get better. Only now I think reality has completely hit them, where it's like, nah, this is not going to get better. This isn't going to work for us. So I think you're right. Yeah. The tension has picked up.
It's been dialed up quite considerably. To have schools and have leaks coming out about Washington and Oregon. When did you ever hear anything about them during all of this? I never did. They seemed like the most calm and collected. I think that they thought that there was a plan to get them through a bridge and then to get into the Big Ten later. I don't think there was ever a plan to get them into the Big Ten by next year.
Yeah.
And so now they're sitting here going, we face irreparable damage if we get into the Big Ten in 2026. We need to get in 2024, otherwise we need to seriously look at the Big 12.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it's at. And I think the Big 12 may have to move quicker than they usually like to. They usually are kind of like the lumbering, slow inertia style.
And what do you think about what do you think about this Florida State?
Because, oh my God, this is what I've been waiting to see. I'll be honest. I was harping so much about what Herb Street said, and because he comes out of the ESPN world with the at least 20 schools, and people are like, well, it doesn't work. How does this work? I didn't have an answer.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this coming out when it is and how it is, and we actually had some smoke before this really hit public, and it's just kind of wow. It's just I knew it'd be something, but I didn't think that something would be this. The idea that they got some guys who are willing to make that kind of an investment. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that is some serious resolve. It's true. And if it's credible, it's if there's money set aside for it. There's all this. It doesn't actually have to get spent. It just has to be a credible threat. And if it serves as a credible threat, the things that does internally in the ACC, I've been saying this elsewhere. There is no way the SEC can allow Florida State to go to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
It's a dagger to the throat.
Yeah.
Look where Tallahassee is compared to the rest of the SEC, the heart of it. You cannot allow Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, USC, Notre Dame, Wisconsin, anyone who's in the Big Ten to go down there as a home game.
Yeah.
That's crossing the Rubicon. That's war.
Yeah.
Like, if there's anything that can move the SEC, it's this.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. That's why this story is so big and so dramatic. And we don't know if it's going to fire off in August here. We don't know that, but it could. Huh?
When has this ever happened in August? When is this ever? Like any of this? It's always been done way before. They've all gone on their vacations. No one wants to mess with football.
Yeah.
This could go into football.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're talking about, serious damage to athletic departments, possibly all that. This isn't going to stop for football until they have their solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All righty, sir. Are you going on tonight?
I want to talk about, but that was pretty much a big shocker right there.
Yeah. Are you going on Big 12 Mafia tonight?
I am. Yes,
Got
I
it.
do, and I will be there. So
Beautiful.
by all means, come on in, and if I see you there, I'm going to be like, hey, grab Greg.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Appreciate
Everyone
it.
check it out. Should be a lot of fun.
Thank you. Great phone call, sir. John Teal, Godfather, the Godchildren are not happy, 6-6. Go for 7-5. Go for 7-5. Does that make the Godchildren?
Steve.
Steve, can you hold on 1 second?
Sure.
Appreciate it. Gophers going 7-5. Does that make the Godchildren feel any better? I'm excited for the Gophers football season this year. Athan Kaliakmanis, the Greek rifle, the quarterback, watches tape against Wisconsin Badgers. He was absolutely brilliant. Now, if he can do that for 12 straight games, and if the Gophers have absolutely no injuries on the defensive side of the football field, we'll be fine. Even with the one of the top toughest schedules in all college football. I'm excited. I have to be, you guys know how I am. I have to say how I think. And I think it's 6-6, 7-5 for my beloved Golden Gophers. Jeff Fuller, PATC has been on fire this week. McMurphy's report in Marshawn's confirmation of Go initially asking for $50 million AAV tells you everything you need to know about the PAC's delusion and current woes. Big 12 getting more secure. Yeah, a lot of problems with the Pac-12 in so many different ways, coming from so many different angles. Yeah, it's and now this report, Jason Scheer, the meeting yesterday, Thursday, among the Pac-12 leadership, the Pac-12 presidents, they were looking for clarity from the commissioner. According to Jason Scheer, who's been nails through this whole story, the meeting could not have gone worse. Thank you so much, Jeff Fuller, for your generosity to the show. Appreciate it. Steve, Mr. Bearcat is on the line. Thanks for your patience. Thank you for your patience. The floor is yours.
First thing, Greg, did you see what CW did today regarding a potential linear partner with the Pac-12 or the Pac-9 or whatever we call them?
Xfinity. They got the Xfinity NASCAR series on the CW. $115 million a year. I think that takes the CW out.
I would totally agree with you there, sir. So that's another one they could mark off from their linear. Regarding the Pac-12 or the Big 12, Pac-12 saga, I've said before, when somebody gets their back against the wall or somebody gets backed into a corner, you better have some other plans to go somewhere, no matter if you want to go there or not, because if you view it as take the best of the worst two evils, you better take the best. And I'm saying that from the standpoint of Washington, Oregon, Utah, everybody. You can't go independent. You can't make. I don't care if those three went together to a network and said, "Hey, give us something." Oh, okay, here it is. Wow. That's you better get on the fast track right now, and you better secure the best deal that you can secure for 2024. Period.
Yeah.
No way you can sit and procrastinate anymore. You spent a year procrastinating with all your brethren in the Pac-12, and that's got you nowhere. Okay?
Yeah.
So get off your high horses, swallow your pride, go where it's best, where you're going to be most secure. And if you think the Pac, without Colorado and whoever else might go, is going to be the best, then stay there. If you want to wait 10 years, 5 years, 4 years on the Big Ten, fine. Good luck with those next 4 years, because you want to talk about being behind then, you're in deep trouble. So, there's no crystal ball to look into. It's either this or that, and whatever you choose, God help you choose the right thing. So, with that, that's my tirade about the Pac. It seems like everybody right now, obviously it's chaos, but it seems like everybody right now kind of lost.
Yeah.
Other than Colorado, maybe Arizona. Seems like everybody else kind of lost, right? And I don't get it. I don't understand it.
If, and I think it is, if Jason Shear's report is accurate, and I'll bet you my bottom dollar that it is, then this thing could move very quickly, because Robert Robbins, man, all he wanted was the numbers. He just wanted to see something. And if it went that bad, and if Jason Shear, Arizona 247 writer, knows it went that bad, and he's been nailing this story, he was the cat who nailed the first Colorado meeting with the Big 12 that took over 5 hours. He was one of the cats, along with us, that knew the meeting was going on May 7th in Chicago. Sure. If he's saying that it's gone completely pear-shaped in yesterday's meeting, then we're going to see some fast action from Arizona.
Well, I think it's been off the rails longer than anybody really realizes, Greg. I think after about 5 months, it was off the rails, and I made that, I made that clear on several phone calls. Going to the Florida State thing. I think Florida State, Clemson, Miami. I'm not as sold on North Carolina as everybody else is, because I look at media numbers, and I look at marketing, and I look at this and I look at that. I hate to tell everybody, Louisville puts North Carolina State to shame. When it comes to numbers, they put them to shame, Greg. They really do.
Yeah, they have a rabid fan base, I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. And when basketball gets back, and it will, and when football gets back to their 8 or 9 win seasons, and it will, they're going to be fine. Here again, well, we got, Washington and Oregon's gone to the Big Ten, and this is gone there, this gone here, this is gone there. What you just said about Clemson and Florida State and whoever, that's all fine. Miami, North Carolina, for a reason like I just said baffles me. But anyhow, I'll tell you what, Yormark will sit around and he'll know his place in the fight, and he'll let the Big Ten and SEC go get who they want, and then he'll get on the phone and he'll call Louisville, Kentucky, and he'll call Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he says, "You guys want to rekindle these rivalries with Cincinnati and Pittsburgh because the ACC's falling apart?" They'll say, send us the application.
Louisville, Cincinnati, West Virginia, Pittsburgh. There's some games that you can sell.
Yep, and they all played together before.
Yep.
They all been together before.
Yep.
The Pitt West Virginia rivalry is not Michigan State or Ohio State, but the Pitt West Virginia rivalry is pretty intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at their numbers.
Yeah.
Look at their numbers.
Yeah.
They got a good television slot last year, but look at the number they put up. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, just from my experiences, it's not on a national scale by any means, but Louisville and Cincinnati have been playing each other for a long, long time, and that had to stop when Louisville went to the ACC. But it's between the two institutions. It's something that everybody always looks forward to.
Got it.
So I just think Yormark knows his place, but I think he's intelligent enough, forward-thinking enough that he'll get who he knows he can get.
Got it.
Does that make sense? That make sense?
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
But anyhow, I wanted to bring up that CW thing because that $115 million could have went to the PAC.
Yep. $115 million a year.
7 years. Yep. 7 years.
Got it.
Woo.
Thank you, Steve.
That's how you want to. Yep. All right. Take care.
Appreciate it. Great call, Steve. Thank you so very much. Greg, did you see Jason's new article that just came out? Grant Creech? Yes, we did. We talked about it. I read a little bit about it.
Call from
Eric, read the tea leaves.
Eric, read the tea leaves. Can you hold for a moment, please?
Buddy, I can hold, man.
Grant, so yeah, I did read the first part of the article. The meeting yesterday, Thursday, with the Pac-12 President's Commissioner could not have gone worse. And Jason Scheer has been nailing this story from the very beginning. He took all the arrows, he took all the flames, and he just wrote a story. If it's true, and I think it's true, and he's got very good sources from University of Arizona, I think you should all keep your head on a swivel, and I think that Arizona moving to the Big 12 could happen sooner rather than later. I just want to get to a couple other stuff. Coach Cox. Thanks, Coach. Greg, I just want to express my sincere appreciation for your work ethic and professionalism. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. Appreciate your generosity to this channel. Thank you so very much. Very kind words. Coach Cox, again, another super chat. Again, thank you, good sir. Appreciate it. I'm just an old ball coach down here in Texas. My son and I started listening this summer, and we will be fans from here on out. Thank you, sir. That kind of got to me. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Texas, thank you so very much. Coach Cox being very generous with his kind words and his generosity. Jeff Fuller, again, thank you for your super chat. FYI, McMurphy and I will be guests on Criddle's ESPN 960 radio show now. So go to ESPN 960. Jeff Fuller and the great Brett McMurphy. Okay, the floor is yours, sir. Go ahead. Thank you for your patience, Eric. I appreciate it very much.
Hey, not a problem, buddy. Hey, how's it going there, Minnesota Godfather?
Go for Godfather.
Go for Godfather. You like that? Oh,
well, that's what Western Civic called me, so we'll go with it.
Well, I'll tell you what, Greg, real quick first, I just got to say, man, I've been watching your show from the beginning, and we really got one heck of a community here at PATC.
Yeah,
every time I call, I hear, like, Bearcat Steve, what a great call. I've known Jeff Fuller for 10 to 15 years. I consider him a friend, even though we haven't met. That's how long we've been communicating, me and Jeff, for 10, 15 years. Ben Criddle, the guy whose show he's going to be on today, I know personally was actually invited to his wedding. But, I mean, you've just, and I'm not saying that to name drop, I'm just saying it in the sense that, man, you've built a community. And now we've got Seminole PATC. What a great call, Seminole, adding more diversity, more callers, more thoughts.
I hope Seminole calls back. I love that call. I want his perspective.
I loved your call, and I learned from your call. I learned from all you guys, so thank you. So Seminole, please call again. But the reason I said tea leaves, you know, Eric, read the tea leaves, is you were asking about, I want to talk about the Pac-2, but first about the ACC, you were asking us what we think of it's real. I know it's real. You know how I know it's real, Greg? I mean, I don't know when it's going to happen or how it's exactly going to be executed, but I know it's real because me and you've been watching football for about the same amount of time. We're about the same age, and we both know when a commissioner all of a sudden out of the blue pops his head up for no particular reason and starts saying everything's great over here, nothing to see over here. We're doing wonderful. We're united, and uses all the adjectives and said, hey, we're thinking about expansion, and what they're saying doesn't meet the reality of the common sense that we all know because we're not dummies. We all know that he can't expand because nobody's going to sign a grant of rights that goes that far out. You don't have to be a sports expert to know that. But when anybody pops up and says, or when a AD says, hey, I love my coach, and then a week later he gets fired. So the very fact that he said the things that he said today tells you that there's heat to the situation. That's why he did the interview. That's why he said the things he said. So we know it's real. We know they're building a war chest. It would be almost, I don't know how big the war chest is, but of course they're building a war chest. It would almost be malfeasance not to. So we know all that stuff's true. Now, as far as Oregon and some of these schools going independent, as a BYU fan, I have experience with, a team being independent. BYU was independent, I guess, for about 15 years. They did it better than most if you look at the schedules that we're able to get. But to be able to do it, BYU's not a blue chip. I'm not saying they're nothing close to a blue chip program, but what you got to have is at least kind of a national footprint. And because they're a church that has a national following, frankly, an international following, and not just a regional fan print, they were able to do that. But you got to have a really unique fan footprint to pull that off. And you're 100% right. BYU will make 4 or 5 times as much as a member of the Big 12 as they did as an independent. They made about a fourth of what they're going to make now by joining a conference. Yeah. And they had other ways to subsidize their situation, and they made decent money and they had great schedules, but it's near impossible unless you have a very unique footprint to be independent. And even then, you're not going to make near as much money as an independent as you will as a member of a conference. And frankly, even Notre Dame might get $40, $50 million conference, but they would probably make more in the Big Ten than they do as an independent, even Notre Dame. So I just wanted to say real quick, you're 100% right, but we know something's going on with the ACC just simply because otherwise their commissioner wouldn't have said all the crazy things he said. So we know that's happening. One question I have for you, Greg, what are your odds in the in the bookie theater there on Arizona jumping. What do you have that at?
Well, we had it at -3.5. I think we'll jump that up to -5.5. So
Yeah, after Jason and man, the community great. Jason's another one. I've been following Jason for 2 years. Last time we talked, you remember I mentioned a statement to you that I had sent you that Jason had said, and I said like you, Jason's money. You can take what he says to the bank most of the time, just like you. And with the PAC situation, remember when we talked last time? I said unity mattered, leadership mattered. Look at your mark. We're going to add one more team. I agree with you. It's a leverage play. They're not going to turn down a really good team if it's like, say, Washington or Oregon. Or if they get Arizona, they're not going to turn down Arizona State. But if you notice, the message to every outlet is the same. Every single outlet, they get together, they have a meeting, they say, this is our message, execute it. We're going to take one more team, we're stopping at 14. And then they have 4 different national people reporting it. Now, just suppose that with the Pac-12, where they're stepping over each other's messages, they're contradicting each other, different people are saying different things. Whereas with the Big 12, their media message is a finely oiled machine. He gets his message out, and they stick to message. So the Pac-12 is a mess, and Oregon might have to jump to the Big 12 just as a bridge, because even when you're a national brand like Oregon, you can't have 2 or 3 years of no exposure. You can't have 2 or 3 years of not being on TV. Your recruits can all leave in 1 year now with the portal, and that can ruin even a powerful program if they have 2 or 3 down years. If they're not going to get to the Big Ten for 4 or 5 years, they can't afford to have 3 or 4 years with very little exposure and not being on television. And with the kind of money that Nike has, and Washington, they have all the tech billionaires there that back them. You know, the grant of rights for the Big 12 isn't like the grant of rights for the ACC. They could pay that and go on to the. It's not an overburdensome grant of rights. They could pay that with the kind of money that is in Seattle and the kind of money that's with Nike. They could pay that and move on to the Big Ten in 4 or 5 years. Even if they have to pay the grant of rights, they can afford that. But they can't afford the lack of exposure. They can't afford not being able to recruit for 3 or 4 years.
Got it.
What do you think about that, Greg?
Yeah,
do you agree?
I agree with you, sir. I agree.
Hey, it's a great show. Hey, Bobcat, Cincinnati Bobcat, it's great to have you in the conference with us. And Seminole, keep on calling. And just one last thing. No personal attacks. Let's keep loving one another. We got a great community here, Greg.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Eric. Great phone call once again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
A couple things. Sam says Arizona is a no-brainer for the Big 12. Sky is asking if that person right there is a legit Twitter source. The answer to that question is absolutely not. Jamie Thornton, peek around the corner. Hey, the rep says it best, from Top Dog and George to everything else they do. It's a perfect program fit for Comedy Central. Welcome to the pack. Pac-9 is going to be lucky to get a contract with QVC at this point. Wildner has Buck, thank you so much for putting this. I keep forgetting to comment on this. John Wildner, Mercury News, finally lowered his line. His line for Pac-12 survival from -4.5, the last line. Now he's got it -2.5 favorites, below a field goal, less than a field goal. And Buck says that equals Pac certain death. So Wildner has finally adjusted his line. I think they're all getting a bit nervous. That was Jamie Thornton, breaking news. The Pac has a perfect fit for its viewers. Welcome to Comedy Central. Okay, I think we're going to wrap it up here at Peek Around the Corner. We've been on for over 2 hours. We appreciate you all coming in. For the new people, the first time entering into college football's Peek Around the Corner, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Smash that like button if you liked our content. We appreciate all the wonderful phone calls and comments and the generous donations for so many people at our independent college football YouTube channel. We are very humbled. We thank you so very much for all of your support. Yes, I saw a couple comments in the comment section congratulating us, me and the little general. We got to 3,000 subscribers. We haven't been on for a year. We thank you so very much. Our viewership, our views are big numbers for the amount of subscribers we have on this YouTube channel. The viewership numbers are astronomical, and I can only say thank you. Thank you so very much for the PATC community for always coming on in, for your comments, for your phone calls, for your loyalty. I appreciate it so very much. I know that we live in a world of what have you done for me lately. So we're going to be working very hard to Peek Around the Corner to keep giving you what's happening as best we can at Peek Around the Corner during this Pac-12 saga that continues to go on and this ACC drama that's about to start. Wow. A lot of things going on, and college football season is just about to start. August camps is just about to start. We're going to be covering everything. Every Saturday, we're going to be on from morning, noon to night. Live shows all the way during the days on Saturday. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. If you love college football as much as I love college football, give us a chance to be your college football YouTube outlet. I appreciate you all so very much. Until next time, which could be any time. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you